After the unbridled success of my last response video,
oh brother, this guy stinks!
I think it's about time for another one. See, Shoe on Head couldn't be asked to address any of the actual criticisms in my video. And no, OG Mizzen, you don't get to use that excuse because the entire fucking premise of your videos was wrong. And just posted an isolated clip to her followers, curiously cutting out the part immediately after where she advocates false flagging people on Twitter. I got some of the most pleasant and incisive commentary I've ever received. But this video isn't about that. You see, after some Twitter snoops fished out my video, they posted it to the Enlightened Centrism subreddit, who in their infinite wisdom spurged the fuck out exactly as you'd expect. What else would you expect from a subreddit made by and to serve partisans with inferiority complexes? I consider it an accomplishment that Enlightened Centrism got butthurt enough to vote bomb my video. None of the comments could explain why I was wrong, by the way, so congrats on that.
Maybe don't be a pedo when it won't happen.
Well, I was an enlightened centrist, and it still happened. Needless to say, I was shortly after banned from the subreddit. I can't imagine why. The subreddit is nothing if not the peak of objectivity. And so in the spirit of the enlightened centrist, let's look at a partisan who simply cannot stand those filthy fucking centrists and their game of horseshoe any longer. This is Reactionary Centrism by Son of Tiamat.
Folks, can I level with you for a bit?
Sure, what's up?
I hate centrism.
Why's that?
I really do. It used to be that I just thought it was mildly annoying. I understood why they were in the center, because they just wanted to try and remain as objective and unbiased on everything. But it's gone beyond that now. For them, it's no longer about wanting to be objective. It's downright pathological.
Okay, so you're saying centrism used to be about objectivity and neutrality. What exactly changed to make it pathological?
I'm getting to the point where I really hate the center. Last week, you had the whole thing with Charlottesville, and did they bother to look at the situation or the facts or both sides? No. Their immediate reaction was to see that there were two sides. There was one side, and then there was another side, and both sides were stupid.
The both sides argument.
Well, they were both being violent. That's why there's video showing both of them being violent.
The horseshoe prevails again. I saw so many videos talking about this, even videos from people whom I like and respect.
Maybe you liked and respect them because they're being neutral and objective?
But none of them. They talked about the facts of the situation. They didn't talk about the people in the Unite the Right rally protesting the removal of the statue of General Lee.
What does it matter why they were there when the fact that when they were there, they were fighting?
The other side's attempts to trample all over American history, literally.
Again, this is entirely irrelevant from the point about violence. The fact is that both of them were being violent.
They didn't care that the Unite the Right rally wasn't made up of only alt-right neo-Nazis.
Well, it wasn't. I'll concede that.
But even just right-wingers in general, whether that was center-right or even civic nationalist alt-right, no. No, see, we can't possibly, when you're a centrist, you can't possibly let a silly little things like facts get in the way of your narrative. They talked about the facts of the situation. No. They saw that there was two sides, which they weren't a part of in any way, and boy howdy, they just absolutely, positively couldn't wait to just give themselves a good old pat on the back for being such enlightened centrists.
Well, as a certified banned from Enlightened Centrism subreddit, Enlightened Centrist, I honestly have to say, just because there's two other parties dealing with something that I'm not a part of, doesn't automatically make them both the villains. I mean, there's multiple occasions that I could point to in which, say, Antifa was out in the streets, and they were attacking people who were doing nothing but defending themselves. And to be perfectly honest, the Unite the Right rally had the right to be there. Antifa showed up to antagonize them. Obviously, nothing would have happened if Antifa didn't start shit, but that doesn't mean they didn't both engage in it.
It's not even like you have to agree with the Unite the Right rally, or like everything about them. You don't even have to agree with the alt-right in general.
I know.
The fact is that they were there protesting the continued demonization of American history.
Again, why they were there is entirely beside the point of what they did while they were there.
They were actually doing something.
Like, it's sort of like, Okay, so this guy was just going down the street and he was going to buy like some medication for his ailing old grandma. Why are you paying attention to the fact that he murdered 7 people on the way to the supermarket? He had good intentions going into it.
Instead of just standing around virtue signaling, no, they were actually doing something.
Who am I virtue signaling to, really? I said this in the last video. Nobody gives a shit about centrists. I get shit from left-wingers, I get shit from right-wingers. This is why there's 2 videos on this topic from 2 different political perspectives. This is exactly why I'm responding to this video.
Whether you like them or not, they were willing to put themselves on the line.
Whatever.
Doesn't even matter that some of them were neo-Nazi 1488ers looking for a fight. You can't make broad generalizations based on that alone.
If there were left-wingers there, and there were right-wingers there, and part of both groups were being violent, then it can be said that both groups were being violent. Obviously, not every single person on both sides threw a punch. I don't think anybody's saying that. I hope nobody's saying that.
What matters is that they were willing to do something. They were willing to stand up for something. They weren't just going to sit on the sidelines with smug indifference. And that's the realization I've come to about centrism. Centrism, when you get right down to it, is just tacit acquiescence to the status quo.
Yeah, that does not describe me at all.
That, and throwing people under the bus just so you can look better by comparison.
Ooh, I love doing that.
That's all they could see, with this kind of contemptible, cynical opportunism.
It's opportunism. If I'm virtue signaling, who am I virtue signaling to? And if it's opportunism, what advantage am I taking? Like, is this some sort of like ego trip? It sounds like you're trying to suggest like it's some sort of ego trip. There's no ego trip about it. If I saw a video of both sides going out attacking each other, I'm like, hey, look at that. Both sides were in the conflict. It wasn't just one side aggressing against the other side. That happens sometimes. I mean, let's be real. As much as I say that Antifa were obviously the antagonists there, it's not as if you didn't have the fucking Tiki Torch March very deliberately trying to incite shit.
It's exactly what the media wants. It's exactly what the establishment wants.
The establishment does not want people like me. They do not like it. The establishment has no use for people like me.
If they can't have you on their side, then at the very least, they would like to have you not against them.
It sounds like a little bit of a Freudian slip there.
And that's pretty much what centrism is. Just blinking passivity. It's not willing to stand up, because that to them is just a mortal sin. Because once you've taken a side, oh, no, then you've lost all credibility.
Alright, well, I've taken multiple sides, and I've gotten a lot of fucking heat for those sides I've taken. But I stand by that, because I have frickin' conviction in my beliefs. I guess I'm not a centrist then.
So, yeah, to all the people who made videos talking about Charlottesville without actually talking about Charlottesville.
Again, you can talk about the events at Charlottesville without talking about why Charlottesville took place in the first place. Like, for example, if I were to bring up, hey, by the way, did you know that there was, like, a guy who shot up, like, a movie theater? Are you gonna give me shit because I didn't say, okay, you didn't actually talk about the movie screening, Omnizoa. It was clearly The Dark Knight Rises. If you're gonna talk about the screening, you should actually talk about the screening.
But just talking about how enlightened and rational they are just for being abstemious little centrists.
You seem to think, like, centrism gives me way more pleasure than I think I get out of it.
You disappoint me. You really do. You even disgust me.
No, I'm sorry I disgust you. You look so mad right there.
Here, let's go one step further. Let me show you a practical example of what I'm talking about. There's this YouTuber I'm sub to named Ross Scott. His channel is called Accursed Farms.
Oh, I know that guy.
And I was commenting on one of his videos. It was a play session of him playing, I believe, Unreal Tournament. On this video, I left a comment. I said, at about the 23-minute mark, Ross is talking to someone in the chat complaining about Yahtzee Croshaw making racist jokes. Why do I get the feeling that's probably Silly Billy with their usual virtue signaling? And just to give some context on that, there's this one user named Silly Billy who once called Ross a fascist, just for saying that women are weaker than men. Now, Ross Scott, you may not know him, but trust me when I tell you that he is a nice guy. And he's not involved in politics in any way, nor does he want to be. I don't know what he is, left or right or center. He probably could be a centrist, I wouldn't put it past him, but he's not one of these pathologically obsessed horseshoe-waving centrists.
Slow the fuck down. Okay, so earlier you were criticizing centrists for generalizing the people at the Unite the Right rally.
You can't make broad generalizations.
And yet, now you're generalizing centrists, even though you later point out that there are exceptions to this rule you're laying out. So, what the fuck gives, Tiamat? Why are you generalizing centrists?
He's just an all-around decent guy, and he gets called a fascist just for stating uncomfortable truths about human biology. So anyways, this dipshit replies, virtue signaling. Weird how stating an opinion that speaks out against racist jokes is somehow harder to believe than the idea that people are doing it for attention. And then this guy comes on and says, she's got me dancing, she's got me dancing, she's got me dancing, there's no one step behind. Political correctness is just fascism pretending to be manners. So what? I'm supposed to be okay with it just because it's a joke? Also, it's within my rights to call people out. I'm not saying go to jail for things I don't like. He's not saying that now, but he might be one day.
Alright, so yeah, you're gonna stop you right there. That right there is you violating the principle of charity.
I'm just saying that maybe it'd be nice to not make racist jokes. The only consequence is I won't like you if you keep making them. That's not fascism, that's having an opinion. Even people you disagree with are allowed to have them. Then, I guess according to you, the Boondocks is unrepentantly racist because it makes jokes at the expense of black people despite being written by and mostly about black people. I suppose black comedians like Dave Chappelle, Chris Rock, and Eddie Murphy are racist for making jokes pointing fun at all kinds of ethnic stereotypes.
I would say those jokes are racist jokes, yes.
I'm a God, man. It took me years to be able to do this show, but DC has changed. It's different now. There's a lot of white people walking around, isn't it?
You sound like a BuzzFeed article. I'm not against freedom of speech, but...
No, there's no but there. He literally said he's not in favor of legally impeding your ability to speak your mind. He says the only consequence to you making some dumbass fucking racist joke is that he's not gonna like you. That's his freedom. And telling you that's his freedom is also an expression of freedom of speech. How does this in any way imitate a fucking BuzzFeed article railing on freedom of speech when he specifically says he's not against your freedom to express yourself, only that he'll also have the freedom to express his dissatisfaction with how you express yourself?
Yeah, but nothing. Freedom of speech is all or nothing. If you don't like a joke, get over it and quit trying to silence people into submission by shaming them.
Okay, see, that's where you start bridging freedom of speech. Because what you're talking about now is you're saying people should not have the freedom to express disagreement with you. Time at your cunt. I mean, that's... What else can I fucking say about that? It makes no goddamn sense. That's a single fucking sentence. I know, I'm not sure what the deal is with the quality of this video, because you can barely fucking read it. He said, freedom of speech is all or nothing. If you don't like a joke, get over it, and quit trying to silence people into submission by shaming them. It is part of their freedom of expression to shame you. Just in the same fucking way I'm doing by shaming you with this fucking video. This god-awful fucking video you made.
I wouldn't say that, because the Boondocks is written by a large group of black people. Yahtzee isn't black. Also, if you're so into freedom of speech, why are you trying to keep people from their freedom to express distaste in things? God. What a hypocrite.
See, you have no room to fucking stand on after that comment you just made, man.
Anyways, the first guy who accused me of being a 4chan troll chimes in with, wow, so you really just broke out the black people can't be racist thing? Next, tell me to check my privilege. Oh wow, this guy actually has some sanity after all. Racism is different from plain offensiveness. Racism is offensive from a place of power. Oh god, here we go.
Yeah, see, that's where I disagree with this person too. It doesn't matter what the race of the person is who's saying the fucking statement. If the statement is racist, it's racist.
While making racially charged jokes from a depressed position is just offensive at worst. It's not good, necessarily, but it's not racist. Ugh. I could be wrong, but yeah, you're wrong. Tumblr can try to rewrite the definition of words so they're exempt as gold medalists in the Oppression Olympics, but racism doesn't require power.
Can you explain to me how this person is a centrist, by the way? Because I'm still not picking up on where that's coming from.
Besides, money is the only real power. I'd rather be rich and black than poor and white any day. Oh, right. Now this guy is talking some sense. Or, at least he was talking sense. I won't bore you with the details of the rest of my back and forth with that other dipshit, but he comments again with this little nugget. Here we have the extreme left and extreme right together, reminding us why we hate them both.
Oh, I see. It's the third party who gets involved who's the evil centrist. Of course!
Of course!
Seriously, fuck you. Fuck you. Fuck off. I replied to him, could you point to me the extreme right? I'm having trouble finding it. Also, don't be disingenuous.
Oh, fuck off. Don't be disingenuous. By the way, freedom of speech is everything or nothing. You shouldn't be able to shame people.
But that right there is the perfect example of what I am talking about. The centrist, sitting on his fence, which is actually made up of ivory towers, is such an asshole that he absolutely will not hesitate to throw you under the bus if it will make him look better by comparison.
Our ideologies are wildly different and reach opposing conclusions. Yes, I agree. Autistic screeching about horseshoe theory. You know, this is kind of the thing about horseshoe theory that I'm still baffled that people are so fucking incompetent that they don't get. Do you not understand that both ultimately arrive at authoritarianism? And that it is Sargon, in this meme, who represents the liberal end of the spectrum. You're both on one side, he's on another. You're on the top of the political compass, he's on the bottom. Are you not understanding what you share in common?
Not only that, if it honestly wasn't for me instigating that little argument, then it never would have come out what a PC bitch that other guy was.
Guys, it's important to remember that anti-X is just as bad as X itself, so let's just agree to be neutral on the topic. Something that's interesting about this statement is that mathematically, anti-X and X actually do share something in common. X!
Despite his own initial thoughts on me, he ended up agreeing with me. Of course, once he saw that, it made him feel really self-conscious.
SJWs equals stormfags equals extremism equals wrong. Horseshoe theory. All types of extremism are exactly the same. How many different times do I need to explain to people? Like, I got like 7 comments just yesterday saying that I was fucking equating homosexuality to pedophilia. Now, I'm not doing that. If I was equating them, they'd be the same fucking thing. They're not equivalent. They're different concepts. They're implicitly different. Just as fascism and communism are implicitly fucking different. That doesn't mean they don't share qualities like sexual attraction, like authoritarianism. Why do I need to explain this to people when it seems like the most basic fucking shit to me? Thinking inside the box like a simpleton is indeed the most rational and intelligent decision. Radical centrism for the win! Yeah, it's kind of funny that you say radical centrism when that's very much not pro-status quo, which is why it's called radical centrism.
While pushing the other guy to the side just so he could be in the exalted center.
The exalted center. Who's exalting you?
And that's why centrism can also be classified as passive acquiescence to the status quo.
How am I passively acquiescing to any status quo? Any status quo. Any status quo. Once again, I can't help but think, why is it you are continuing to generalize centrists when you acknowledge that there are exceptions to the fucking rule? And I don't even think it's a fucking rule, because I've never met these kinds of people you're fucking talking about. Where is the person who is making this fucking assertion that, both of these are absolutely equivalent. Nor have I ever seen any sort of fucking person online convey this sort of ecstasy you're suggesting centrists get out of comparing the left to the right. Just as a general aesthetic, I like the concept of balance. That's why if you look at my character, you see black and white. If you look at my channel banner, you'll see it's the entire color spectrum all centered in the middle. Like, that's my fucking aesthetic. It's what I like. That's what I find attractive. And I find ideas that neatly fit into that sort of aesthetic to be attractive too. You look at, let's bring up the Dark Knight again. Let's bring up the fucking Dark Knight.
In Chinese philosophy, yin-yang represents how seemingly opposite forces may actually be interconnected, and one may even give rise to the other force. The Batman and the Joker are the same, even to the point that they actually throw out their drinks, but pretend to drink anyways. On a much larger scale, Batman believes in the basic goodness of people. Batman wants to establish order and justice in Gotham City. But the Joker believes that there is no inherent goodness in people. The Joker wants to establish chaos and anarchy in Gotham City. Batman and Joker are equal and opposite. But the idea of Batman is not absolutely good, and the idea of Joker is not completely bad. Batman, because of his actions, hurt people that are close to him, and Joker, because of his actions, cleaned up the mafia and the corrupt cops in Gotham City. Batman as a yang has a seed of yin in him, and the Joker as a yin has a seed of yang in him.
This is what happens when an unstoppable force,
The party of movement.
meets an immovable object.
The party of order. In this way, freedom informs fairness, and fairness informs freedom. Concepts that fold into this view are interesting to me. You can see this throughout my channel. It's an aesthetic that I find interesting. It has an intuitive appeal to it. But nowhere am I having this concept govern my view of reality. If Antifa showed up to a fucking protest and started pelting bottles of piss at them, I'm gonna fucking blame them for being the fucking dickheads instigating violence. But if the other side jumps into a fucking truck and starts mowing people down, I'm gonna say, hey, it's a little bullshit too. Maybe you're both bullshit. Maybe you should both cut it the fuck out.
There used to be a time when a lot of these centrists would make their own slam dunk pwnage videos. Yet by the logic they're using now, that would instantly put them in the category of the extreme right just for daring to take a stance. The only crime that the right wing is committing is just daring to have a conviction and an ideology with which to put their morals and beliefs behind.
Pretty much sums up how autistic centrism is. How exactly? I'm not following along with this. Like, you seem to be suggesting that centrism is liberalism, but I don't get this meme. Is the joke is that it spins around and it doesn't matter where it lands?
Centrists look rootless, like they can be moved left or right on any issue without any ethical misgivings.
I have no idea. How does this sum up fucking anything? Okay, if all of the things you're showing on screen, these, like, communism, socialism, liberalism, conservatism, and fascism, are all ideologies, and you're using Sargon as your representation of the pathological centrists. He says he's liberal, so he does have convictions, he does draw lines at certain things, he has certain ideas he stands by, and they just so happen to be almost equally opposed to both certain left-wing convictions and certain right-wing convictions. What's your fucking rebuttal to that?
But according to these morons, just having any ideology is such a risk because, of course, in their minds, any ideology, if taken too far, can become bad and evil.
Okay, let me just clarify one thing. The people who say all ideology is bad, I don't think quite understand what the fuck they're saying. I think they take ideology to implicitly imply ideologues. Like, to follow an ideology is to be an ideologue. I don't think that's necessarily the case. I mean, removing the pejorative context from ideologue and considering what ideologies are, which is systems of ideas, we all follow ideologies of different forms. The belief in marriage is an ideology. The belief in capitalism is an ideology. The belief in socialism is an ideology. Fucking science is an ideology. I don't know how any of these people can get off saying that, they don't follow ideologies. By the way, the people who I see saying this stuff do tend to be centrists, but I still don't see them saying the same stupid shit you're mentioning here. Like, they say that one thing, and it's dumb, and I'll agree with you and it's dumb. So here's a centrist agreeing that other centrists occasionally say stupid things, but it doesn't excuse the rest of this goddamn video.
So, in their minds, they're thinking to themselves, okay, all ideologies are ultimately bad, so just to be absolutely sure, we shouldn't put any faith into anything and just remain steadfastly neutral. That's the only way to be sure. That's the only way we can not become bad guys ourselves. So, answer me this. When Antifa finally comes for you, knocks down your door, and kicks your teeth in, what are you gonna do?
Shoot him.
Are you just gonna lie back and accept it and say, at least I didn't take a side?
Again, who the fuck is saying this? Who is saying this? How do you possibly construe that from anybody? Who in their right mind is saying this? And I'm sure there's some crazy people somewhere out there who believe these things. But assuming we're talking about the same circles of people online, I have no idea who the fuck you're talking about.
Is that what you're gonna do? It's not like you even have to be allies, necessarily, with the right. But when you throw them under the bus, you just give them a reason to hate you too. But that's probably actually what you want.
Well, you know what? If the right wing are gonna throw centrists under the bus, tit for tat, man.
You enjoy being contrarians on two sides. You enjoy wrestling other people's jimmies. You get angry and pissed off when people call you arrogant blowhards sitting in your lofty ivory towers, and then you go on to prove them right.
I wish I lived in an ivory tower. That'd be pretty sweet. Although, maybe not ivory. Ivory comes from elephants, and I have a strong conviction against poaching elephants, so I'm afraid that I am too good for your centrist stronghold. By the way, let's read this fucking image already. Now, guys, extreme views are always wrong 100% of the time. The answer is always somewhere in the middle, kiddo. I welcome you to suggest an extreme view that is right. One side says the sky is blue, the other says it's green. Can the extremists tell it's turquoise? Perhaps you're both right at different times of the day. Perhaps the sky can turn purple on occasion. One says gas the Jews and the other says no. Both sides have a point. Who says that? Who's ever fucking said that? Nobody's ever fucking said that ever!
We don't want, like, just a couple plans to eradicate minorities.
This is right there, this fucking thing. This is an appeal to moderation. This is the exact same stupid shit that the left wing accuses me of doing. And they were wrong too! So look at that! You got a nice little fucking horseshoe here. Here's me, right in the middle, pointing my middle finger at both of you fuckheads. Cause you're both equally fucking retarded. That doesn't mean you're both the same, but you both share a quality.
What do you get out of this besides feeding your own egos and continually demonizing everybody else?
I just demonize idiots. You just happen to be an idiot.
Whether you agree with the right or not, as long as you continually alienate them and put them in the same camp as the left, you are still acquiescing to the left.
I'm not saying you're a racist, but I am saying you're being played by racists.
Okay. So you're saying centrists are left-wing patsies. Interesting take.
You can talk all you want about gray areas and nuance when it suits you, but the reality is that sometimes things are black and white. Sometimes things are binary.
I agree.
And when you have one side that is very clearly in the right and another side that is very clearly in the wrong, then all you are doing by taking the middle ground is conceding to the side that is wrong.
It's also making an appeal to moderation fallacy, which I can't possibly be doing because there isn't just one good side and just one wrong side. In the case of the Charlottesville incident, you both fucked up!
You people disappoint me. You disgust me. Fuck off. Shove that stupid little horseshoe prongs first up your ass.
No, I think I'll just rip you a second asshole and shove it up both of yours. No outro? Okay. We'll just sit here. And that was the video. Thanks for watching.